Yeah. Hey, what's going on, everybody? And thanks for joining us again. We are live, and today's episode is a fun one. So normally we keep the dense and monotonous, philosophical conversations for the end, but we're going to start with a spicy debate because I think the episode's going to quickly get off the rails more than you would expect with just the title types. But for today's episode, first, we're going to be talking about how the Biden administration bans non-compete clauses. And I can tell you right now, the think tank right here is pretty divided, surprisingly. I am surprised that this is not a more united position. So we're going to start off with a little hot debate, but then we're going to transition into something I'm very excited about, which is how Harry Potter is about to revolutionize audiobooks forever. So buckle up, because that'll be a fun one too. And then finally, Gephyrophobia. Oh, yeah. We're getting off the rails for the people that have a fear of bridges. And we're going down the deep rabbit hole of phobias and some interesting dialogue that can come with that. Now, we're going to be playing a game at the end, so you can look forward to playing along, see if you could guess these crazy, outrageous phobias. But I can't do it without my co-host and my good friend, David Cunningham.
Hey, it's good to be here. Good people of the internet. I'm excited for a little lighter show today, even with the bit of controversy and intrigue at this first topic. You know, Brian, I'd introduce you, but I don't know if I agree with your position here on this one. How's this scumbag doing today?
Oh, I am doing just great. It is the end of an era. It's the end of a season. But
Brian's 30.
I am 30, and I am still going to be out here looking for edible mushrooms, not the ones that everyone thinks of every time I say that, but, the really delicious kind. So let's get the show started.
I got to hand it to Brian. He's out here grinding. Doug did a good job transitioning into the position in his absence. David looks fresh in a clean Indians jersey. But before we dive in and introduce the debate, I want to at least give an opportunity for our friends in the green room to introduce themselves and tell them where you can find them. But first, let's bring in Ricky from Just Another Day TV joining us.
Bless up, boys. Bless up. Glad to be here. Let's have a great show, fellas.
Love it, love it, love it. And can't do it without our new good friend, Silent Destroyer.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's
happy to be here. Glad you made it, brother.
Thank you guys so much for having me. As always, I'm really excited for this show. Looking forward to it.
All right, so guys, do not hesitate to signal to Brian when you want to get brought in. But today's first it's crazy. Not only is it that we're starting a segment with Brian, but the first segment, Brian's going to take the baton here, and Joe Biden's administration has banned non-compete clauses, kind of evolving contract law entirely. So I'm going to kick it off to Brian, who's going to present his position.
What up, people? So after having short discussions with David and looking at my opposition, it's a really hard one to win, but I'm going to give it my all.
All right.
So Biden did get rid of the non-compete clause, which means competing businesses can go after employees. They can violate NDAs and go after trade secrets for anyone in the commonality of their same field. So two different companies working for the same end goal can, essentially steal employees based on paying them more and stealing clientele from them by getting their rival employees to work for them. And for small businesses, it's really tough on them. I know when small businesses join in with big conglomerates, they and they have these non-compete agreements, they tend to really, stick true to them, and they try to keep it as honest as they can. The backdoor handshake agreement saying under the same umbrella, like, we won't go after your people and you won't go after ours. But now that this isn't a thing anymore, and it's just really, it's kind of, I don't know. It's tough for the little guy to become big when you got big conglomerates that can buy out anyone. Some non-competes that I have found on the government website. Non-competes are sometimes used to protect trade secrets, which can promote innovation. By second point, by reducing the probability of worker exit. Non-competes may increase employers' incentive to provide costly training. And the third point, employers with especially high turnover costs could use non-competes to match with workers who have low desire to switch jobs in the future. I think I touched on most of those, but I don't really have too much to add besides that.
Well, so
What do
let's
you
kick
got?
it to David.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in pro of this. One of the few things I think I'm in full agreement of the Biden administration on, especially politically on this end. What I find helpful with this. So I get your position on the first part here, Brian, where this does stifle competition. It kind of hurts. It really does hurt small businesses, and it pretty much takes away an opportunity for them to be able to compete and against some of these larger conglomerates. I have a little less sympathy for that, just due to the fact we're starting to see a lot of corporate consolidation. So a lot of fields are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and the worker pool is still roughly the same, if not getting bigger. So our opportunities for someone in a very specialized field. So let's use something like slow motion camera operation. If you're in the slow motion camera industry, there isn't a whole lot of major players in there. And if you are specialized in that field and you don't like your management, don't like your job, but you're pretty much one of two or three companies that deal with this, and now you're stuck in this non-compete. It is extremely restrictive on the part of the worker. And anything pro worker, I am in favor for. Now I do understand that, hey, you have a small, like, real interesting way you go about doing business, and now you have a couple salespeople. You take some of those contacts and you just rush out the door, and you kind of lose some of that advantage you had to begin with. I don't think a non-compete really holds up in court. No one's really ever taken it too far in court, because the people who really have the power to, go get rid of the non-competes have other legal mechanisms in place to be able to actually protect them. So, like, let's say you're an engineer at a particular company. There's, I believe, NDAs are one of the things you would probably work on. You could just, like, companies outright sue you specifically for causing issue, or divulging company secrets within the competition. There's multiple different legal channels to be able to fight that non-compete that isn't worker restrictive. Because I'd also see the argument too on, I don't think not with you, but just online, where you could use that as part of your, like, oh, well, if I'm in a non-compete, well, you can raise my salary 20%. That's usually not how that works. It's almost always at the very end of your employment, when you're ready to take on the new job, company's ready to hire. It's like, hey, I just need you to sign this non-compete here. Not a big deal. You're probably not even going to use it anyway, because we're going to love you so much. You're going to love it here. And that's when they just spring it on you. Because it's pretty much,
Right.
It's like a terms of service for any social media site. You say yes, or you're not allowed to use it. So that's where I see it's a bit more predatory in that fashion, especially with with corporate consolidation. So that's really my laid out here, my points here. Do you got any rebuttal for that?
So I do see all your points, and it's really hard to refute them. But going down this rabbit hole, kind of a tangent almost, is it's really sad to see, these old ways of doing business and being able to kind of come to terms with people and have like a heart to heart with them is kind of going away. And the tangent is actually comes in fairly recent. When I started my job 5.5 years ago, I was actually able to put on company credit, business expenses without having to stay overnight. And within the past couple of years, the IRS has turned around and changed that into you must stay overnight to be able to put anything on a business expense. And
If you're going to take lodging, that's what you're saying.
yeah, lodge and visit a customer, you have to stay overnight, like you're out of state or whatever, to put anything on a business expense. So
All right.
everything else, when I'm traveling in state or non overnight, it's all my personal.
Hey, you know
account
what's funny?
that goes
That's
away.
interesting about that, because I bought a sandwich before the show here and preparing for the show, and I was like, can I save the receipt and just like write this off? Like, I haven't made a penny with this damn thing, but like, I imagine at the end of the road, if I could just like put in every receipt for every sandwich I had before the show. I mean, I was buying the sandwich anyway, but here we go. They said I got to spend the night. So I'm going to sleep on the couch just for tonight so I can get the sandwich. No, I mean, there's interesting points on both sides. It does not impact specific NDAs, though. So, like, as David was saying, there's still multiple legal channels that accomplish the same insider protection without needing to be as restrictive. But I want to pose to the Gambit here. An interesting question that I think should at least be addressed. Like, Brian's negation of this bill is less about why this is great, because it is kind of great. I mean, you're preying on like young, juvenile people that are, I mean, you know what I'm tired of hearing? The complaint that I actually experienced myself, which was, how can I ever get a job if every job interview says I need like 5 years of experience or 4 years of experience? It's like, somebody's got to let me do it without any years of experience once, because I can't crack the ice here. And that was kind of a wall, the entire entrance to the professional field. I think we all experienced that.
Yep.
Okay, so if that's going to be a major complaint we all carry, then we also need to have some empathy to those people that are being preyed upon. So here comes big bad corporation. They go, I want 5 years, and I know you'll never have it. You 4-year degree moron that sold your soul away to a corporation to get a degree. And they're like, so you will give me your soul. You will never compete with another person. You will never disclose anything you ever learn here. You will be mine. And I will tell you that we have a sauna in the basement, and that will make you excited to show up. And one day the sauna will get old, and you're gonna go, they have a sauna and a tennis court, and you're like, I can do that. Oh no, you can't. You could go do something totally different. Do you want to go mop? That doesn't compete with us. Grab a mop. You want to lay pipe. But everything you learned with me, nope. So that being said, I think the presentation is clear. This is great. Now, it definitely evolves contract law in a weird way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now, caveat emptor is pretty much the foundation of contract law. Buyer beware. You know what you signed. Read the words. If you don't, this goes back to the best South Park of all time, the human centipede. We all click, I agree, just so we could download the next iOS update on my iPod, for me to come to find out that in the fine print, it's so I could be sewn to another human for the human centipede, and they'll tape an iPad to my forehead. And I signed up for it without even knowing it. So there's this weird balance. I want to make an argument in contract law. I can't wait to be the lawyer that champions defeating these contracts, because it's been socialized that they're a non-contract. Nobody's reading them. They're too extensive. I think there's a true argument there. You're going to lose, because the money's in their pockets. But I think there's a real argument there that these I agree, click the box, never read the 200 pages because nobody does. I think there's an argument there. Bringing it back, though, to how this impacts like contract law here. Caveat emptor, buyer beware. There's this argument that I told you from the beginning. These were the rules. And you wanted a job here. You could have said no. And what if I'm Google? There's prestige working at Google. I have a sleep pod. You could just go take a nap, go in the sleep pod. Doesn't that entice you? And you're like, sleep pod and sushi burritos sound like a place I want to work. And I'll get great experience that hyperinflates my resume. Well, they look at you and say, we'll give you the golden goose. You just can't do it in any other cyber field once you leave us. You can't go to a competitor.
For like 3 years.
Sure. It's not even forever.
Yeah.
So again, buckle up, Buttercup. I don't know. Get an OnlyFans. Figure out a way to make a buck. But I think you sign an agreement. An agreement's an agreement. So how do we renege? How do we go back and retroactively impact these contracts that are already done? And I mean, I can see this impacting contracts moving forward, but again, you're bringing up NDAs. This is not going to impact that. You're still going to be able to say, you said you wouldn't say X. And I think that's really where it should lie. The non-compete clause really shouldn't be there. It should just be, you just can't tell them what you learned here. Like, you can't tell them what's in Kel's secret sauce. It is what it is. Like, you could go work at Mondo Burger, but you can't tell them what's in Kel's secret sauce. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But to say, no, you can't go to Mondo Burger or McDonald's sounds outrageous.
And I think the non-compete laws to begin with were always too umbrella, too broad. Way just like it encompasses. Sometimes you're in like a mileage range, like, well, you can't compete with anyone within this 100-mile within the state or something. Like, well, they never get that. And if you've ever seen like a non-compete, it is 2 paragraphs saying I can't do this in this industry after this amount of time. There's no way that's going to hold up in any sort of legal facet. These kind of, if you ever seen, especially like the terms of service, that's a legitimate, legal sort of contract, even if it doesn't maybe hold up in court, just due to the nature of it being so long and just like you described. But some of these short, like a paragraph long, there's no way. I can't imagine that's actually going to be some sort of enforceable document.
No, great point. And so again, I want to bring it back to Brian presenting a great concern. So clearly, there's a strong support for, I'm going to say it, the Biden administration doing something right. They did something
Call
great.
spade a spade.
I would like to think so.
Is it convenient that he did it right before the election?
Some might say. Some might say.
They said he was supposed to do this right at the beginning of his term. Like,
Yeah.
right at the beginning of 2021, it was supposed to be like put into play and everything was supposed to be all hunky-dory, and there was a lot of people supporting it. With the NDA, I think with the NDA, I'm not sure, but it kind of sounds like it kind of goes away in a fashion with this
It's just got to be more specific.
Yeah,
it can't just be, well, you see this, you can't say that.
It will literally say you cannot say X.
Yep.
Okay.
So like whether it's a software equation or an algorithm or trade secrets, like it can be an umbrella statement like trade secrets. I think it took so long for it to come out or for Biden to make that move because I think he forgot.
Come on, man.
But I want to bring it back to Brian's concern, which I would like because we're the rethink tank. We can think and reinvestigate. I would like to pose to the brainstorm here, how do you address the concern of small businesses being negatively impacted? Because your concession, even in your statement of why it's good, is yes, but Brian's right. There will be a negative impact to small businesses. It will. Why? Money talks. Poaching will become the status quo. And the scariest part is our world, our reality is moving into an ever technological world. And these NDAs and non-compete clauses are most important in that Silicon Valley world. So if you're going to have an Elon Musk or a Bill Gates crew that develop the next, AI or search engine or social media in a garage, they will quickly be poached out by the ones that dominate: Twitter, Facebook, Microsoft, so Google. So these companies will just suck up it will become a monopoly by circumstance. And so I would like to pose the theoretical inquiry in all fields, right? Like from mechanical to grocery, food, domestic, all kinds. But really the heart of the point, the scariest point, would be poaching in the cyber world, where there's already this snowballing monopoly. How do we solve this problem of preserving this negative or aiding the negative impact that this is going to inevitably have on small business? Is anybody in the peanut gallery wanting to be brought in? I don't know. Let's Silent Destroyer. Let's get their thoughts before we investigate.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with both of you guys in the sense that these non-competes are great for most people because they're actually gonna help a lot more people than they're gonna hurt people. You guys brought up the fact that small businesses are gonna get hurt by this. I honestly don't think so. Not that much anyways, because most small businesses are usually just competing with themselves and maybe with a few other businesses, versus like a lot of these bigger businesses are competing on a global scale, right? And on a more international reach. So that's where things like these non-competes actually work, right? Because let's say, for example, I work at Apple, right? One of the biggest tech companies in the world. And they're opening a new department like somewhere in Europe, let's say in Spain or whatever. And Amazon realizes this, for example. And then they want to take me. They're like, hey, we see that you're gonna move to Spain and be part of Apple's new project. We have a new project here in Spain too. So why don't you come with us? But then you're like, oh, no, I can't because I signed a non-compete. Whereas if he didn't, he could just use that as leverage to increase his salary, get more benefits, maybe get like something better for himself, right? So in the sense that a lot of these non-competes, they benefit the companies way more than they hurt people in the long run, because at the end of the day, you as an employee, you don't really have usually much leverage, even in tech, because even if your job is very specialized, you can still be replaced very easily because those jobs are very competitive. But when you don't sign a non-compete, you could just go where they pay you the most, free market, baby. I'm going to Amazon, guys, buy Apple. They're paying me 50 grand more and they're going to give me 6 weeks extra vacation. See you later. That's it. And I think that's where this law kind of like comes in and says, hey, listen, big companies, no more bullying. You guys stopped investing in the people 10, 15 years ago. You guys are just looking at people as numbers. Well, guess what? Now we're going to give some power back to the people. So if they don't want to be part of your growth of the company, if they don't want to be part of the culture anymore because they feel like, their growth is being stunted, they're not being paid anymore. And if they can do the exact same job that they're doing right now, just in another company and make more, well, guess what? Now they can't, because they didn't have to sign a non-compete. Very simple.
Yeah, I'm still kind of struggle to see where obviously if you have something really special with a small company and you're competing with a larger conglomerate, it has to either be such a specific technology, such a specific way of doing things that you'd probably just end up patenting it anyway and keep that. It's another legal way to keep that advantage you have. That's why they have it in that system. Fair. And if you're like, let's say it's some like secret, like the Coke, like the secret formula, Yeah, you can. I guess some, your master chef or your master cook can go in and someone else and steal that formula. But at a certain point, they're like branding, like the WD-40 doesn't patent their formula for their lubricant. 'Cause it's really not all that special. It's all in the branding. It's the reason why you think it's so good. But if it's good enough to where there's enough profit to be made, you think a big company wouldn't at least try to reverse engineer it, dissect it, and try to extract as much similarities out of it as possible to be able to replicate it. I mean, this is what the Chinese do with our own intellectual property, with our own tech. And even if it's avoiding patent laws and such, if there is a market for it, someone's going to try to make it happen. So this is where I just come back and if it's good for the average worker, it's good for I think it's overall benefit for society. Yeah, Apple and whoever might have to pay a little bit more, start poaching these people, but I think in the long run that's just going to benefit the working class as a whole.
There's some great points being brought. Before I jump in, does Ricky want to dive in at all? Yeah, bring in Ricky. What are your thoughts, my friend?
So I feel it is great for the people. It's giving back power to the people, which is great because oh fuck, I'm getting hot. Because it's like I had
Can't
my
do
whole
anything
thoughts.
from here, my friend. You're in
Yeah, I had my whole thoughts. I had everything what I was gonna say planned out, but it's good because like imagine you're a mechanic. You're just an average mechanic. You have your stable living. You want to move on, and you say, all right, you're starting roaming. You're gonna have to go to a whole different city based off the radius, based off some of the non-compete clauses. Not everyone can up and move or downgrade their living lifestyle and adjust immediately. So big corporations was taking advantage of people, having them stuck. Oh, you're here for this long and you can't do the same work, so you're gonna have to go to another field. Now when you try to go back to this field, you've been off for a year. They're gonna be asking what you've been doing for a year. You had a non-complete clause, so they're gonna think you miss something in the field. Like you miss some time, miss a day, you miss a lot. Also, it's great that companies are going to start offering people more. They're going to start giving people more incentive, bribing them like, yo, we have more vacation days, we give better benefits. And who doesn't like a good competition? Especially us as men, we like a good deal. You know what I mean? No matter it's in work or at the grocery market, we love a good deal. So if you're going to give me 1 month of vacation and way more like the insurance rates and everything, insurance is better, benefits is better, all that, sick days, I got paid time off, I'm with you, I'm with it. So the hotel I worked, you couldn't work for another hotel on the island, so you're just stuck there. When I used to work there, you're just stuck there. You couldn't work here in the morning and work there in the evening. It's in your contract. You can't work for no other hotel on the island. So that messed up a lot of people because certain places aren't open for you to get a second job at that time. So people just losing money, just making the bare minimum and getting by. But now, when this does actually go in law, they can't say nothing to the people. They can actually make their money, go here and go there, and it's pretty more fair, even for the just average hotel worker, bro. It trickles down, and you take less time off from taking a break of not making money and looking for a new job that you probably haven't been experienced since year long.
It brings up a really interesting conversation about freedom. I say that because we have this instinct that we just open up the free market, let competition run free, and in a world where an employer is offering a non-compete clause in a free market, you should, in theory, be able to go to another employer that's not offering one, and they'd be more attractive. The problem is when the entire market gets into, they're not in collusion. It's not some conspiracy. It just becomes an industry standard, and it's just what they do. Yep. And so now there isn't some smaller company that's trying to be more enticing and offering the non-compete clause because they know they can also put a non-compete clause because everybody's got a non-compete clause. And no matter what, I have like that's an instinctive piece to the contractual agreement here. But like in the theory of a free market, right? We're trying to create a game of Monopoly that's the fairest for the most people. The guy that created the game Monopoly literally created Monopoly to prove how how capitalism always ends with one person having everything. And so that's kind of true. So how do we live in a society of like all of us? You kind of just try to make that game go as slow as possible. When you got 4 people sitting around the board and that takes about a day and a half and everybody hates grandma by the end of it. Yeah. On a mass scale of 350 million people, you can try to consciously create that game to take slower. How do you do that? You make the marketplace, the competition between people as even as fair as possible. Equality. Stop discriminating against the L. Equity is just a curse word. Equality. But you want to try to increase equality as much as possible to keep a balance to this game, to slow it down as much as possible so all of us can kind of flourish in this free market for as long as possible.
Yeah.
One way that I think you accomplish that is truly by looking at what was and could have been in a free market a competitive leverage, right? So the employer could just be like, hey, I have a more enticing market appeal. My company, I've worked so hard to be that marketable and valuable. In return, I don't want you working anywhere near me or competing against me. That doesn't seem unreasonable. That seems fair. And you're trying to keep it fair because we only live in the worker side. We've never, but we want to live in a country where Henry Ford can move over here and create like, cars. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So like you want to be able to create a place where people could come and start new companies, start a new life. A South African like Elon Musk can come here and make great things across many different fields. So we got to have empathy to the business owner or the business creator that comes here as well. But this just seems like the one piece that while in theory, we should want to keep to a free market. And this is where the balance, this is where, the representative republic, we're a socialist democracy. This is where that little bit of socialism, I think, is fair and necessary, where you equipped, like Ricky said, gives a great example of people trapped on an island. And you could just say, you can't work in any of the other, we're not even talking about Silicon Valley. Can't work in you can't clean the beds of any other of the hotels near here. That's what they did. And now what? I'm starving? I'm starving. What else am I going to do? What am I also going to do in a place where really the mass market is in tourism? Now you've just removed me from the tourist market. Like you're really crippling all levels of the economic scale. So I think we should bring them to wrapping thoughts. Here's where I'm at. NDAs and other legal avenues can still be used to accomplish the same secrecy and company safety to trade secrets. But we do need to keep an eye to the negative impact this is going to have on small businesses. This is going to result in poaching. Silent Destroyer nails it when he says we need to also look at this on an international scale. We're talking about hotels on an island, but truthfully, Google's competing against all of them. Spain, all the other, Turkey, all the countries we named. And so there's going to be poaching by the entity with the deepest pockets. In many ways, only maybe where we thought this would be good, the negative impact may end up being that this hyper accelerates the imbalance between the 1% and the rest of us, making us poorer and poorer at a grander scale. So I see on its surface, and that's why I get excited, Ricky's point, where this very much just benefits the worker. If I can get 50 grand more somewhere else, then and it, again, the corporate entities and the business owners are the ones that had the chokehold. And this may kind of free us from that. But I just don't know if this solves or in any way negates the poaching aspect that I think is going to be snowballed by this. I don't know. What are your wrapping thoughts?
I think it's, yeah, you can poach, but you still have to convince the person to want to work for you. There's more than one reason to want to work for a company. Pay is only just one of them, probably one of the biggest ones, but locations, I would argue, might be bigger than the pay. Yeah, well, my house is right in, downtown Cleveland or right next to it, and I work right downtown. That's real easy for me. Well, if someone from Cincinnati wants to poach me all the way over there, I got to move my house, got to move my way of life, wife, kids, all that. I don't think that's quite as enticing, even if let's say they're doubling my pay. Well, I got to uproot my whole life and just move over here. There's still all like corporate culture. There's a relationship you build, especially with small businesses. If you do work for a small business, you build a pretty nice little relationship with everyone there. And there is a sense of community and pride in what you're doing versus, you work for a large company, you're just kind of a number and you're easily replaceable. With a small business, you don't feel as easily replaceable. So I don't know if the math is just necessarily 1-to-1. Now, if it's a small business competing with a small business, well, I think that's a bit more fair. I don't think Google is going to be poaching someone from, I don't know, like a small insurance company over on the east side of Cleveland. I don't see that happening too terribly often. They're probably just stealing from each other. So, if I'm Google, I'm trying to steal from X, trying to steal from Meta, all these other places, because that's exactly where the talent that I want to foster is right in line there. So, and again, when we start consolidating these companies more and more and more, the opportunity for them to poach is actually quite less and less and less. It's eventually we're just going to have a couple of these verticals, and everyone's just going to have this industry standard, like you said, and that's just the new way of going about it. So sorry, you can't work for X. You just got to work for me now. And guess what? I'm paying a lot less than X is. So sorry. We're going to keep the cycle up, and I think this just allows one extra tool in the toolbox of the leverage of the regular worker.
I love that. I don't know. Before we get to Brian, let's get the wrapping thoughts of the Peanut Gallery. Silent Destroyer, what are your thoughts as we wrap up here?
Yeah, I think, as I said before, this definitely does way more benefit than it does harm. And I'm glad to see the government, like you said, actually step in and do correct socialism the right way, the way it's actually meant to be, in the sense that they're offering protection, but at the same time, they're still letting the free market decide. And people at the end of the day still have the decision whether, hey, do I want to sign with these guys that have a non-compete? Or now that the law is passed, those guys over there don't have a non-compete. Let me go over there so that in the future, if those other guys want to pay me more, I could just switch and I won't be in trouble and I won't be landlocked or I won't be like company locked or city locked.
Do you think we'll see a lot of flip-flopping? I want to ask you before you finish your point.
I think so, because let's be honest here, companies are not investing in people.
It might be.
Right? Companies don't really like the idea that you join a company and you stay there for longer than 3 years, 5 years is kind of like dead in the water, especially when it comes to tech or any sort of like specialty high-end jobs, right? Because the reality is you're more likely to get a salary increase when you switch companies versus if you just stay loyal for one company. And research has shown that through and through. That's been the trend for the past almost 2 decades now. And people are starting to realize this. They're like, hey, I could either, stay loyal to this company, or I could just go to this other company, do the exact same thing and get way more money, way more benefits, and, maybe way less hours even, in some cases. So I think people are finally starting to realize that, hey, maybe flip-flopping back and forth between companies and just going around is the way to go. Because if the company is refusing to train me, refusing to invest in me, refusing to see me as, okay, this guy is coming here, we're going to get him. And, in 10 years, once he's tenure or whatever, like we're going to lock him in, we're going to keep him in forever. Like that's dead. That's not part of our culture anymore. Our culture now is like, I'm going to go where they treat me best. I'm going to go where they pay me the best. I'm going to go where my skills are valued the most. And that's where things like this law are going to benefit people, because now you're going to have the option to do so. You're not stuck anymore signing that contract with the company that has the non-compete. You can now go to the other company. And like I said before, like if you want to flip-flop, you can. You have that option now, you know? And to answer your question, yes, I think there's going to be even more flip-flop in the future for sure, especially since this law is passed.
Interesting, but I like your point that it isn't going to be completely detrimental as the older boomer generation would make it out to be, where, you know, I've been at this company for 40 years, and that just seems to be a way of the past. I don't know, for better or for worse, I think we'll learn, but I think as Silent Destroyer says too, being able to change one, I mean, you could either be somebody that is unworkable, right? Like you keep moving because people can't work with you.
Yeah.
Or in a theoretically, and in the best theoretical sense, hopefully it's somebody that's just sharpening their blade continuously.
Yeah.
Like you're continuing to meet new people, continuing to socialize in different environments and have to adapt to different rule sets and social constructs and way the business place carries itself out, only making you a stronger worker in theory. But also that's not the attention span of probably 75% of you. So I'd like to keep that theory going, but it's a theory because reality is a whole nother thing. That's why we march towards idiocracy. Before we get to Brian's rapping thoughts, I want to see if Ricky from Just Another Day TV, what do you got for us, Ricky? Rapping thoughts.
It's great, man. I love it. It's gonna bring more money into the economy based off people don't have to downgrade their job and they can just move to a next company that's equal in salary and in pay, and they don't have to move cities. So it's gonna generate more money in the economy. People can stay on their same living wages, and it's good. It's good. It's good all around.
I can appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I agree with that.
Brian, rapid thought.
So yeah, everyone, I had a very almost visceral feeling when I saw that this ban came out, and everyone has softened me to it. So thank you for that. And the only thing that we really kind of didn't touch on was like poaching between competing businesses. And I would like to take the optimistic or the competitive route and say that, you know, because under the same umbrella, the companies are under the same umbrella, they can't take with this with a non-compete clause, they can't take the same company's customers, even though they're different companies, but under the same conglomerate. This opens that avenue and kind of makes it like take care of your customers, or they'll find someone else to do that for them.
Great point.
I agree. Yeah.
So before we get into our second topic here, remember the whole purpose of the live show is to get you involved. So please, if you've got a perspective to further enhance the conversation here, be sure to jump into the comments and leave us your thoughts. You're going to get featured in the show here. We want to evolve the perspective. So please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. But without further ado, let's get into the second topic of the day. Harry Potter is about to revolutionize audiobooks, and I couldn't be more excited. They are taking audiobooks to a whole new level with 100 different actors with full range character voices, and they're going to use Dolby Atmos to create top of the line surround sound experience. I don't know if you're familiar with the Tucker Zone. I was telling you about this before, but if you haven't checked it out, go to YouTube and listen to the Tucker Zone. Throw some headphones on. It is one of the coolest experiences. And it's this 4D experience. You close your eyes. You can hear somebody open the door over there and walk around you and come up right behind your ear and whisper in your ear and then run. It's this surround sound, but also dimensional. You can hear them far. You can hear them close. And they'll also be using real world sound capture. So it's like this whole movie experience. To give you an idea of what it's going to look like, we have the Audible commercial for the new audiobook series that's going to be coming out sometime in 2025.
must expect great things from you, Mr. Potter.
Potter, did she say? The Harry Potter.
You'll have a great time at Hogwarts.
So
you go.
very exciting. It's kind
Yeah.
of like an audio movie. So I'm very excited. This seems like it'll be a whole new way to experience the books. I got caught up in the craze. We're going to address that a little bit in this segment too. But reading the books as a kid was amazing. But I only read up to like, I think the fifth, I only got like halfway through. I have all the books, but I never really read them. Reading just wasn't it for me. It had to become a muscle I developed.
Yeah.
And I want to get into that a little bit too about how people and reading books. But like, admittedly, as somebody that truly hasn't gone through all of the books, finally, the final series, all of them, because there's so much more in the books than in the movies, I couldn't be more excited to experience them through this way, because I think it's really the only way that it would kind of compel me to listen to all of them, get the entire story, and then truly judge how well did they develop that story in a movie sense. But as a nerd that kind of really enjoys the movies, grew up reading the books at an early age, Universal Studios, unlike this Disney adult next to me, Universal Studios is the greatest place to go. I'm a nerd, just a different nerd. And Harry Potter World is so fun. And there has to be crack cocaine in butterbeer. If you go to Universal Studios and get butterbeer, oh, I will tell you something. So I first want to present how this is going to change audiobooks forever. Like Joe Rogan has this thing, if you listen to him enough, if you're a long-time listener, someone like myself, all the time he'll talk about how if he's got somebody that wrote a book on his podcast, he'll go, "Did you do an audiobook?" Yes. And he sets them up. "Did you read the audiobook?" Knowing full well, if that person says no, he is going to teach. Why would you do that? That's just total trash. You got to read your audiobook. People, you did it. It's your book. Everybody wanted to hear you. And he just gets on them. So I feel like that goes out the window. Who wants to hear Jordan Peterson read about lobsters? I want to hear like a cinematic experience where I go in the ocean and I hear molting lobsters and then you could bring in Jordan. Sure, that'd be fun. But I think this cinematic experience in the world of Harry Potter, but in really all storytelling, is going to revolutionize this totally. DC, butterbeer is not that great.
Oh,
that is a lie.
Oof, that is a hot take.
We post lies just like CNN. But I want to get your thoughts, David. What do you think?
Well, it's pretty cool to see them putting a lot of money into kind of like an old property. I see this probably more for like older stuff, like with Dune, with the new movies, like a new way to promote existing movies. I don't necessarily see this for like a new book or a new franchise. It's like, well, why should I care if they dump all this money into this new audiobook? I haven't even read the book. I have no familiarity with it. This is just a new way to experience the Harry Potter world. And I've actually was one of the very weirdos back in my youth who would read the book while listening to the audiobook at the same time, because I had no sense of multitasking other than just doing. Yeah.
See, but that at least makes it even more fun. At least then you're like, you don't have to really, your brain's not working totally. You're just kind of following along.
I was zoning out. I was like reading right along as everything happened. Now, what's interesting.
Wait, real quick. That's part of the outrage about these audiobooks is with the big dorks, there's already two versions of the audiobook, and they're like by prestigious audiobook readers.
Yes.
And why would you ever spit in the face of that? Because I can hear an owl. Until Steven what's his face goes, ooh, 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 ooh. I don't want to hear it. I don't care.
No, but no, it's wild. These like famous audiobook recorders it's just some dude doing a voice of everybody. And for like Harry Potter, he was doing the voices of all the children, all the teenagers, all the
He's
professors.
getting into it like Hermione. He's doing like a girl's voice.
If someone made
trolling.
you can make a real silly montage of this guy just doing all the weirdo voices and like
Snape.
sound effects.
Snape. Severus Snape. Dumbledore.
Ron Weasley. But this, again, this gives kind of a new life to the books. I think the movies do miss quite a few nuances within the books, and just gives it another way to be able to enjoy it without kind of retreading old ground. I think this is for new book, like people who have never read it and people who have already. Well, oh god, it's the same people. It's almost the same.
It's the same nerds. All right, let's bring this full circle. All right. I want to, before we get down the road, all the people watching on X and everybody joining us, I want to know if you think books will soon become obsolete.
Oh.
And I want to go down the road of how few people are reading books currently. I think it's a sentiment to where we're at cognitively as a country. But I asked ChatGPT, I go, will books become obsolete or will books become a thing of the past? ChatGPT stays as optimistic as David here, which is interesting. It's unlikely that books will become entirely obsolete in the foreseeable future. While digital formats have become increasingly popular, physical books still hold significant cultural and practical value. They offer a tangible experience, aesthetic appeal, and a break from screens. Just don't take your break yet. Additionally, many people appreciate the nostalgic and sensory aspects of reading a physical book. However, the way we consume books may continue to evolve with the advancement of technology, with digital formats becoming more prevalent alongside traditional print options. I got to be honest with you. I think podcasts and everything else, what we're doing right now, this is a more improvised book. It takes 3 hours of your time. How is this much different than an audiobook besides the fact that I didn't script it out? It would be less appealing to you. I've done segments like that where I've just written out an entire blog on something, and that's not fun. This is more engaging. It's less thought out, but this seems to be an offshoot of what that was, especially when somebody like Joe Rogan or Lex Friedman brings on a biochemist. Like, that's not something you're seeking out, but they're going to go into the depth like they would in a textbook or a thesis, and you're going to hear a summary of that. Audiobooks being the next evolution, right? I mean, what do we know? We know this ends up with us plugging in sometime, right? The Matrix, we're plugging in. We've already seen the Oculus. We're going into a VR world. So first there was the book. Then there was British people whispering the book in your ear. Now it's them whispering it in different voices with owls in the background. And it's forever becoming more of this cinematic experience. Ooh. And soon you're just going to live it. Soon you're just going to put it all over your head. I'm listening to Hermione walk around me. Soon I'm just going to plug in and I'm just going to watch her. And I'm going to be looking at her heels the whole time. No, I'm watching the story. I'm watching the story. No,
watch the plot.
But I believe ChatGPT subtly addresses something there at the end, which is it will continue to evolve with the advancement of technology. So soon books will be obsolete. We'll see them in a different fashion, but we're probably not even going to call them books. It'll contain similar content and it will present itself similarly, but it will be in such a different medium that how could you call it a book? When a book was something by cow leather and paper strapped between it. I mean, watch these booksmiths make old-fashioned books. That's not what we're doing anymore. And I finalize this position with American adults are reading fewer books each year. Americans say they read an average of 12.6 books during the past year. Lies. That's such a lie. But for the good ones, they may. A smaller number than Gallup has measured in any prior survey dating back to 1990. So one, you're watching this, you didn't read anywhere near 12.6 books. So there's somebody keeping us up. They're keeping us up. But it wasn't you and it wasn't me. And even if you get a couple in, that's good. That's good, right? Yeah. But our numbers are going down. And Brian will sit here and go, I do 20 books, but they're audiobooks.
Oh yeah.
And I put that in the basket of more poignant podcasts. It's different. It's totally different. Why is reading unfun? Because you are doing a math to yourself the whole time, just internal math. Word, computing it, creating the story. You're even creating some sort of imagery that, like, people fell in love with Harry Potter because some lady, some hobo wrote a story on a napkin, and it was so descriptive, you pictured it in your head, and then the movie knocks it out of the park because you're like, oh my God, that's the same squirrely kid with a scar on his head I had in my head. That's the same thing. So you're doing this whole computation that often makes reading unfun for most because it isn't difficult. It's an exercise, just like bench pressing or running the mile. It isn't fun, but also we're becoming retarded. So, like, we probably should do this a little bit more. Do a Sudoku. Look for a word search. These things are kind of good, and we're straying away from them. Think of the movie Idiocracy or the movie Wall-E. How much more enticing it is to waste away those same 2-3 hours a night in front of a screen. Don't get off your screen yet. You need a break, but not just yet. And how much we want that, and yet this seems like we're going down the opposite track. I don't know. I pitch it to you.
No, I disagree. I think we're reading almost more now than have ever been.
Really?
What's social media? Reading comments, looking at forum posts,
Interesting.
blogs. You're just because it isn't a book and not
Cheers.
necessarily, a page-turning deal, but you're reading articles. If nothing else, you're reading comments of what someone else said. You're getting the human language through the human themselves versus a scripted version of, edited, scripted. You're getting live. You're getting earnest. You're getting thoughtful. Sometimes retarded comments. Let's call a spade here. Not every comment's worthwhile, but if you're interacting with social media and you're interacting even with the internet in general, you're reading. You're by golly, you're reading all the time. And the books thing, I don't know. Is reading a comic book the same as reading like Fahrenheit 491? I don't think so. That's not the same. I could read a couple picture books,
But I could put fire sounds in the background, and it became a whole different book.
Yeah, well,
Overkill.
I think what some people have issues with reading is I want to know what the author's vision is. I don't necessarily want to describe it and think of it myself because I would just want to know what the author thinks. All right.
And part of the fun is creating your own vision from that.
Sometimes it just depends on how, a good author will make a very descriptive world, so there's not a whole lot of gray area in between. I think there was, if you remember, the controversy in the Harry Potter play. They made Hermione black. And
man,
and
the mermaid and Hermione.
So J.K. Rowling. So people are kind of like, what the hell's going on here?
Gingers aren't a minority, I guess.
Yeah, dude, they're replacing gingers left and right.
But J.K. Rowling comes out and says, "Well, I never described her race. You all just assumed she's white." Well, shit. I guess obviously she was thinking of a white British girl. Absolutely. That's, it just tracks with the rest of the whole world she built. But it does call into question. Like, the artist thinks this person looks this way or this environment looks that way, and I think it looks something else. Does that not cause some disconnect between you and just make the whole experience unfun? That's why, comics, picture books, there's no ambiguity. It's like, oh, that's what they write. Oh, pretty pictures.
Yeah, but it's so funny you present this, right? Like, there's big books series like Lord of the Rings and other stories, but we just so happen to be talking about one of the biggest. I got the lists here. Number 1 book series of all time. We happen to be talking about this one series that also is just riddled with controversy, where the story is told, and then later down the line, the author's like, yeah, but he's gay, or like totally just coming out on transgender people just to shake the bee's nest. So it's funny you bring that up because this story has been also kind of faded with this weird element that many stories don't experience, where the author goes back and changes words that aren't there, right? Changing the perspective. What? I don't know, to pander. I don't know, to create this new but it wasn't in the book. So obviously it isn't relevant. It's not part of the story, but you're coming back and changing it. Or where people are inferring, they're creating their own story and it isn't written out. Then she comes out and goes, no, that one isn't gay. And it's like, dude, let the people make the story what they want it to be. And at the same time, don't come back. If you didn't put it in the book, it doesn't count. But I want to get some thoughts from the peanut gallery. First, let's start with Sound Destroyer. What do you think?
I think this is going to be amazing, and I can't wait to hear it, and it's going to be awesome. I'm going to have to agree with David in the fact that we definitely do way more reading today than any of our ancestors did, because we literally are glued to our phones, most of us, and we read like probably a book's worth of stuff in a day sometimes, every single day. Right. So I can understand why Universal is like doing this reboot and like kind of like breathing fresh air into Harry Potter, because honestly, like you guys said, these are the same nerds that are so dedicated. And Universal knows this. So they're like, all right, you know what, guys? We're gonna give you guys a little. Here you go. Here's a little new technology. We're gonna blend some new technology with something that's trending. Audiobooks and like theatrical performances and sounds. Boom, let's go. Watch it again. We know you nerds will love it. And Universal knows this, right? This is exactly why they're making this move. Like it's a very calculated move. And honestly, I stood for it. It's great.
You make a great point. Did you see they're also remaking the whole series again on HBO? Yeah. They're doing a TV version.
Yeah, TV version that they say is going to be really honorable to the series. It's going to honor the series.
It's just movies. To double down. I want to make twice as much now.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, Universal knows that even if these movies flop, there's going to be enough nerds that are just going to come sit down and watch it, that it's going to make financial sense for them. And this is why exactly they're doing it, because this is not risky for them. They know Harry Potter fans. They know how hardcore those people are.
They know how nerdy they are. Butterbeer.
They know. They know. Universal knows this. This is a very calculated move by Universal. Like this is not random. They thought about this. They had really smart people sit in rooms. They're like, all right, guys, we need to make money fast. What are we going to do? Somebody raised their hand like, all right, let's reboot the Harry Potter series into a streaming show since everybody's on streaming shows. Let's also make an audiobook since people don't read paper books anymore and people do audiobooks, because who has time to sit down and actually flick a page when you can listen to the audiobook and clean the house and, do your push-ups and sit-ups and your workout and walk the 1.5 miles that you need to and get everything done while feeding information to your brain,
Yeah, well, and like Harry Potter is crack for millennials.
It is. It is. It's got that soft spot. Like millennials, like grew up on this. They were massive.
Hollywood's totally out of ideas, and yet they're so lucky. We're so addicted to nostalgia. Like they don't actually have to develop the muscle they had in the 90s and early 2000s because we're just addicted to nostalgia.
We're eventually going to run out of nostalgia.
Well,
we're already back to 90s nostalgia.
You would hope.
We're only like 30 years away from, I guess there's no more nostalgia anymore.
I mean, that first Star Wars movie was just all nostalgia. Just pretty much the same movie, just with some new characters thrown in there.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just pure nostalgia. Like, we're going to get all these people to come pay and watch because it's Star Wars movie.
Throw in a weird bird so we could sell it at Walmart. And
exactly.
It probably would have been a stronger movie if they didn't have any of the original characters in it.
100%.
Yeah.
But okay, I want to get to Ricky. Ricky, what are your thoughts?
I like it. I don't be reading. Because when I saw the topic, I went to YouTube and saw the trailer. So I was like, oh, this is very interesting, but it's not gonna like for the books, audiobooks I like. I don't see how it makes sense. Like 50 Laws of Power, the next 5 moves. I don't know how much enticement
to do that with.
Yeah, so it's like, but I'm not in that realm anymore where I want the characters in my head hearing the book and stuff like that. Like I never was a Harry Potter fan like that. I watched the first movie, never looked back. So yeah,
Wow.
But it's a great idea. It's a great concept. I love it. It's good for the future kids to help them their imagination, I guess, and individualizing characters if they don't like to
or does
read.
it take away the imagination? It's doing the
Hmm.
thinking for you now. It's doing
Huh.
the fantasy for you.
But you still have to imagine what they're doing. You're just getting a voice to the character.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah, it
you're
helps
they're
with the
they're getting individualized. Like
That's
yes,
right.
you could
So
create
if
their
I'm on
voice.
the audiobook and I hear, Ron just being like, watch out for the golden snitch. And then they make a movie and it's like, yo, Harry, watch out for the golden snitch. It's like, hey, you already drew that.
But that's off
line.
your
drew that line.
experience. Maybe that's why certain books connect with certain people because they interpret off their experience and their humor and their because not everybody's funny and they may read a funny book and think it's like hilarious, like vice versa. So it's based off the person. So when you add the characters in, you're drawing the bridge for the people that don't really they just read. Because when I was in school, I had to read. I just read the book. That's it. I didn't jump into every oh, I wonder what their voice is like. I wonder what the wall looks like. Okay, there's a wall there. Move on. That's how I did.
What does the wall sound like in the audiobook?
So yeah, the audio, but you may hear, oh, he's walking across there, and you hear this squeak. So that is pretty cool though.
Ricky, so that made me think of how people are saying book, if you read the book, you would think that movie sucks. And now this is like a hybrid between the two.
Ooh.
And I still feel like there's still going to be people that love the books, love the audiobooks more than the movie, more than the hybrid, more than just whatever else they're going to come up with.
They're in a bad situation too now because they're going to bring more hate because what if the character from the book is not, they can't act. So what if they can't act and they can't go on the screen? There's different voices now and it's just going to be a whole nother debacle on the internet.
They're losing some of that magic.
Yes, facts.
We're losing the common culture of that series. So essentially we all grew up with the Harry Potter, essentially the movies, and that's all of our visual representation of those movies. So we can all collectively come together on that.
Just like it would be hard to come up with a new Iron Man.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is.
He played it.
You've created Harry Potter that's been so socialized. It is who it is.
Can you make this franchise transcend the original cast and the original way it was presented to us? Because now you might have a whole new series. People are like, well, I love the TV show or I love the audiobook way more. I love everything else. What do you mean? What do you mean this Daniel Radcliffe? Get rid of him. I like my whatever voice actor that did it on the audiobook. So we are losing a bit of that common culture that does, that binds us all together. Why we love the series to begin with, because we can all appreciate it at the same time together.
I mean, totally. This is because I have ADD, but can we just appreciate the thumbnail for a second? It's a Joe Biden wizard smelling Harry Potter. That's pretty awesome. Aside from that, I want to get to at least one thing that comes up on podcasts often that I see in a debate of what made the Harry Potter franchise. Was it the movies or was it the or was it the book, or was the book propelled by the movies? And the in that inquiry, it's important to remember that here, Brian's he went through it, so we'll admire. I love it. That's just fun.
That's it. Dumble don't. Wow.
I have not seen this one yet.
Come on, man.
Okay, so I was stalling to give Brian time, but no, seriously, there's an inquiry here.
Okay.
And it's people want to know if it was the movies that made this huge thing or if it was the books. I think people lose sight of what that craze was. And I want to present finally, was it that window in time where we didn't have these movies, we didn't have VR, we didn't have TikTok, we didn't have visual ways, to experience this, and we didn't have movies and stuff. Books were it. So maybe that's what made this craze, or maybe this series is that great, so people love just reading the books. I don't know, but take us back to the 2001. the video.
Nearly 3 years of waiting, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix was released on June 21st, 2003.
This is a big night some Potter fans have actually been training for.
I've been reading the books about 1,000,000 times. I've been making my costume. Took me forever to make my quill. I've been bouncing off the walls with excitement.
Waiting until today to get the new book wasn't an option.
It's always more fun to be there right when it happens, and it's a great way to just go around and meet other people that like Harry Potter.
It won't be long now. The suspense is building. The rumors are rampant.
Ron's gonna join the Quidditch team, and somebody's gonna die, and then it's all exciting, very exciting.
Well, how psyched this kid is.
This was Order of the Phoenix.
Yes, it was.
So this was after the
Now
movie.
it's time to go
After
home
we
and
probably
go to
got
bed.
what?
Not
Two
quite.
movies in now?
This
I would
reader
think about
plops
two
down on
movies.
a
I think it's
window
two
ledge in
movies
the
in.
store
They said what,
to begin
2000
her journey into the
2003,
Order of the
yeah.
Phoenix.
All right, so
Miles
what do you
arrive.
think creates a craze like this? Is it is
I
it
think it
the
was
movie?
I think it was the movie that made it. So take the movie away. There's not as much popularity what we saw in that clip. You have the movie
Yeah.
just added an extra little bump. So the books were popular. I think they got up to about the third book before the first movie came out. If I'm not mistaken on that. But, and this is a big but, it wasn't
Big butt. J-Lo butt.
They don't lie.
It
J-Lo
wasn't
butt.
until that first movie, until it came all together with the score, just the visualization of the castle, everything kind of culminated into one big unit, and then it really just took it to the next level. It was like Pokemon was a video game before it was a trading card game, but it wasn't popular until they had the anime and the trading card game all one time.
Ooh.
So those two came out together because you could have had, there was several years you could have played Pokemon, had a good time with it, was fine, and then it wasn't until the anime and the trading cards came out until schools across the country were banning them left and right. I know my school.
Part of
banned
that was
Pokemon
because
cards.
of me. I came up with a really elaborate three-way trades that then kids would regret and go home.
Doug just changed the world. Doug changed your elementary school.
With his
What
three
would
ways.
your elementary school have been without Douglas H. DeLuca?
I
in
ruined
Ohio?
the trading cards for everybody. It was definitely me, though. The teacher pulled me aside, goes, "You know that was because of you, right?" And I was like, "What, really?"
What was because of you?
Because we were making trades, like card trades, and then people would go home
Okay,
and
you
complain.
just JoJo Siwad yourself. Are you saying you just invented trading cards?
No, but I'm
That's the
saying
whole
that's why my
name.
school, our school, Central School, when we were in 5th grade, banned them was because of me.
Doug is convinced he was the first person to have a three-way trade.
If you were,
He still had a three-way, but he had a three-way trade.
I
And he's
traded
the first one to do
I
it.
traded 2 cards I had 5 of, and I got a bunch of legendary cards for it. I remember it was a pretty bad deal for whoever traded with me. I remember
You know,
that.
we always talk about how empty this room feels without this peanut gallery, but Doug just said he invented trading cards.
No, I'm saying that happened to us.
well, no,
David
he's
said
the
it.
reason why trading cards were banned in your high school in California. Because Doug over here
I
came up
love
with these
California.
3 ways, and all of a sudden now
Doug's
we're
been doing three-ways all over his tradiing cards.
and I can't bring
and
my
it affected you in
Charizard
Sacramento.
into my high school. Thanks, Doug.
Going school to school.
You're welcome.
Getting them banned.
Yeah.
This one's for you.
Took his short bus just around the country.
They tried to take me down, but I came to
Right.
Cleveland.
We
They
got
never got me.
derailed. Wrapping thoughts. Because I just wanted to present kind of a reminder, the window in time, what that looked like, experiencing this craze at a certain period in time. But I want to bring it back to why it was worth even discussing to begin with. And I think we strayed away from it because Harry Potter is just, there's such a gravitational pull with this brand and this story. But what makes this step so cool is that it's going to revolutionize audiobooks entirely. I can sit here and make my jokes about how it feels like we're getting dumber because people are reading less. And admittedly, reading is hard, and that's why I think people stray away from it. I think it's something we could benefit from. It's an exercise you still should try to intertwine in your life, but I also recognize it's time consuming. Really don't have the time for it. There's so many books I have sitting on my shelf that I'm waiting for the time I'm sitting at a beach to do so. But guess what? We actually have a house in Florida. Every time I go, I've become my father. My mom and my sister go read books by the pool or go to the beach. I sit, my brain is broken. My brain is broken because I'm trying to accomplish a thing. And every minute I'm there and not at work selling my soul to my owner employer, I get here and go, I could be building more for my brand, my thing that I'm trying to do here. So I waste every waking moment I that I'm not having fun with friends, because you got to balance it. I sit there and go, really, should I could read this book, or I could make this video. I could do this. I could do X. What's great about an audiobook is, as Silent Destroyer added, I can clean my room, I can exercise, I can move and get other tasks done while still experiencing what I'm trying to accomplish, just still experiencing the story. And to enhance that experience to this cinematic piece where now running at the gym isn't just as mundane. I want to double down on how this is going to revolutionize book digesting. But I also need to really hammer home with Ricky's point. The most important books, Harry Potter is great. It's a great escape. It's fantastical. It plays on your emotions. You laugh, you cry, you fall in love with these characters. That's what makes it so intensive for the largest audience. But also, there's really not societal value in that. There's entertainment. There is, but not true growth value. The books that Brian and Ricky brought up, the Ways to Power, or you're not going to get some cinematic experience listening to Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules to Life. I make the joke, but you're not going to get that in any other.
Besides a couple songbirds playing, that's
right. Yeah. Matthew McConaughey doing the Green Light book. Right. You really just want to listen to Matthew McConaughey read this book. Yeah. You can't really do much more to the book, but really, I don't want people to just get drawn into the teletube, boob tube type, the popcorn, the chocolate type of book. Like, you still need to digest the more difficult type of content, which is not going to come in such a glittery, fluffy wrapper. And so I wrap my point with, this is going to be great for all types of fantastical books. Lord of the Rings, all your kid books, Judy B. Jones, Goosebumps. This shit's going to get fun, man. At the same time, that should be balanced in your life just as much as the Game of Thrones TV show. Like, you make time for it once or twice a week. You can't just sit there and watch 13 hours of The Simpsons. No, I get a bit here, I get a bit there. And that's kind of how the fantastical popcorn chocolate type audiobook should be in your life. But it should still be balanced with the blade sharpening, not as fun, but growth provoking types of audiobooks, which I do think is replacing books. I do think a paperback is going to stay in the shelf in the future because there's not enough time in the world. And just like the machines around us are optimizing, the human is optimizing, the human experience. And the way to continue that optimization is to sincerely optimize your time at the maximum value. And a book ain't it. But a book in the background while I'm flexing my muscles and washing my dishes and cleaning my yard, that's the way you're going to get it done. So yes, I do think ChatGPT is lying to us. It will be replaced at some point. What are your wrapping thoughts?
I think it just shows, to kind of put on top of your point, just shows how a generation wants to multitask. Like, we're really exercising that type of muscle. So it's not good enough for me to just sit down and read the book. Well, I want to maximize my time, whether by driving to work, doing some other mundane tasks, and livening up. Makes time easier to spend. And I'm looking forward to this. This is a fun new way to revolutionize the medium and really evolve the way we approach audiobooks from just some British guy whispering in our ear in a little girl's voice, or an actual, like, a production, putting money into it and really selling the value of why you should listen to this versus just doing anything else.
I love that. Brian, can you give us your wrapping thoughts?
Yeah. So I think, Alex, you made a very good point about the books being very hard to make for this hybrid type of
lifestyle.
That was very distracting. I'm sorry. There was a background noise. For fantasy books, I think this would work outstanding. I think this would bring me in, someone who isn't into fantasy into fantasy fiction books very much. They just don't do it for me. But if they had multiple characters inside the audiobook, they had the fantastical dragons and different vampire noises, I think that would really draw me into the experience of what the Harry Potter series is going for. And being in a car for long drives or working out for a long time, I think that would be a very viable way to listen to these books. And one book in particular, I'm kind of blanking out on the name, but Diary of Sarah Jenkins is whatever.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
There was no.
Yeah, it's probably, I think it's that one.
That book, that audiobook. So the way it's read, it's like name and then it says what they say. So every time a character would come in, they would say their own name and then they would say their line. And it drove me
that's annoying.
It drove me absolutely insane. So it'd be
but again, this will just be
went
the
to the
same story, but just different voices. So you either have the voice recognition ability or you don't. The story's just gonna be told. There will be a narrator, there will be people doing voices, but like in that prospect, it'd be incredibly distracting and annoying. That would be totally destructive and take away from the story.
Yeah.
Do you want to wrap?
I think they would get a lot out of having that sort of freedom to, instead of describing what happens or describing how something sounds or is walking around, they could just do it and not have to describe it as the audiobook or as the written out book articulates.
You lost me at the end. But don't forget, the whole purpose of the live show is to like, subscribe, and comment. I want to shout out to Mark Wright, people on Twitter that are tweeting at us. You can get featured here, and we're reading your thoughts because we want to keep you involved in the dialogue.
Exactly.
But we're getting tight on time, so we got to get into our last topic here. We are buckle up because it's time to go down the wild road of Gephyrophobia. Brian, can you start us off with the video with Gephyrophobia?
Oh my God, I hate this so bad. Paralyzing fear of crossing bridges among thousands of motorists across the USA. It's called Gephyrophobia. Tori Forbes says a bridge collapsing under her is her worst nightmare.
I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna look. I can't look.
God.
We went with Tori as she drove across the Delaware Memorial Bridge, shaking in fear.
Oh my God, I hate this so bad. This is horrible.
She's in tears and clearly suffering from a panic attack, but she makes it. Bridge phobias are so common that police here at the Delaware Memorial Bridge actually offer police escorts so that people who are afraid can get from one side of the bridge to the other. I crossed the bridge today with Sergeant Steve Burkett of the Delaware River and Bay Authority Police. What have you seen people do?
Useful resources.
Like, how does their phobia come about?
Well, do I want to do traffic
It can
stops
respond
or
a lot
go,
differently,
go
similar
raid
to
the
anxiety.
crackhead's house?
So you can see sweating,
Commander,
heavy breathing, shallow breathing. I've seen some people close their eyes. They won't look at the bridge while we drive over.
We're hearing for the first time the desperate calls to stop vehicles from crossing the Francis Scott Key Bridge moments before impact.
I need one of you guys on the south side, one of you guys on the north side, hold all traffic on the Key Bridge. There's a ship approaching that just lost their steering.
So at least they're doing their job, and we see there that they deterred a lot of damage that could have happened on the bridge by stopping people from going over. We have mechanisms at place to keep this thing safe. When have you ever heard of a bridge going down while people are on it? This is once in your lifetime, and it's because of we'll go down that road, but a boat. Like, this is an act of God. This wasn't like the integrity of the bridge was at risk, and you should be worried about breaching bridges in the future. But this is like regardless of that event, this is a fear people had well prior to this incident. And to hear that we're using governmental resources to address these problems, like you were saying, go on with your point.
It's just like, hey, officer, I need you to go run this crack house here. Go check on them. How about now, Commander? I got people who are afraid to cross this bridge, and I need to drive more of that bridge. I need to do that all day. What a great use of your time as an officer of the law, just driving people across the bridge because they're too scared to go across themselves. Oh my God, I have a lot of thoughts about just gyrophobia in general. So I get the general anxiety that you're on a bridge and like when things go wrong, car accidents or something like that, it goes very wrong and it's a lot more difficult to recover from that situation. It's more easy to get off. I get the general anxiety, and you need to be more careful. You need to pay attention more, and you need to just focus on the road ahead of you and just not cause any problems on the road. But the thought that you're going to be on the bridge and it's just going to fall. Everyone's had that thought. Everyone's had that idea. Everyone's had that suggestion to them. Your thought every time you walk across the bridge, like, ooh, is this going to be the time that it falls? But to have such a fear, a visceral experience where you're crying in the car and you have to call upon police to escort you over the bridge. You need to change the way you're going about things.
Hey, bring in the last comment Games makes there, right there. Yep. Some people just need to seek help. And I don't think it needs to be my tax dollars. Like, you need help, and it doesn't need to come from the salary that I'm paying for. I think you should take it. You've got a weird fear. And the comment prior to that is discussing like PTSD. Yeah, we understand where the sources of phobias, right? They come from a whole litany of places, but we know traumatic experiences, learned behavior, genetic factors, cultural influence, anxiety sensitivity, conditioning, protective mechanisms, subconscious associations, and attention bias. But in all reality, this can all be controlled. It all comes down to coping mechanisms, and as a society, we're getting worse at developing coping mechanisms. People don't have accountability anymore. So where I have a fear for bridges, it becomes your problem. And my thing is, what do you need to cross a bridge for? To go to the park? Nah. I need to go to work. Okay, well, then it begs the question, how bad do you want to go to work?
Yeah.
Just so you know, people are going to be driving over that bridge to go to work with or without you. And they're going to make it home, bridge not collapse. So you're free to take the bridge or cower at home like Better Call Saul's brother in a blanket of tinfoil. But that's not my burden. Why is that my burden to make sure you get over the bridge? I want to present at least 8 reasons why catering excessively to personal phobias in a society can lead to potential dangers. First, stifled growth. And you in the comments, anybody, I'd be willing to further go into. I just want to save you time. I'm going to go through the 8 letterheads, but I'd go into depth of why any of these have an impact on society. But you're going to experience stifled growth, limits on freedom, excessive cost, encouraging dependency, social division, stigmatization, loss of resilience, you are weak, and erosion of cultural norms. Bad things. But there's not just phobias of bridges, there's a whole litany of them. And that's going to be where this segment leads to. But before we get there, I want to propose this conversation. Hey, maybe there might be a reason to fear a bridge when we come to find out there might be a potential hiding of a cyber attack on a given bridge that was attacked in Baltimore, or it was just a circumstance. I mean, I was reading before here. I must concede both sides of the argument to be fair, but I learned that one of the arguments that this isn't a cyber attack by the U.S. Naval Academy is saying that this ship being so large, going at the speed that it was, and I did read this prior to that. First off, aside from that, throwing the anchor down at that rate is like throwing string down in a moving car.
Yep.
It isn't going to do anything. So an anchor wasn't going to really alter the situation either, which could be a convenient circumstance or just an inconvenient problem. Either way, the interesting thing that they pose is that, and I'm sure the science would reflect this, that if the engines cut out at the rate it was going, at the mass it possesses, it could go for a solid 5 miles. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe this is a freak accident, but all of you agencies listening right now, you lie. You lie and you listen, and you're a cheater. You're a cheater. So I could see a fear in, like, you know, you're letting buildings burn in September. You're letting capitals be raided. You're letting bridges go down. I could see a distrust, but a distrust that lends itself so far that you fear every waking bridge. Okay, you lost me. So I don't know. I'm just going to toss the baton. I'm not even inquire.
I think it's okay to have a general anxiety over, things that you have little control of over your daily, like bridges, flying, elevators, just those things. Like, I have to put my trust in something else to get me from A to B, and it's hard for me to give over that trust. I think that's completely normal, completely fair. And at least with the people who are afraid of flying, they don't fly. They don't go to the airport, or very rarely. It's not my problem. The bridge people, now, because they have to go to work, because they have to see their kids, because they have to go across state and vacation. Well, I got to cross this bridge, and now it's everybody's problem. I don't want to be on a bridge with someone who's afraid to be on a bridge, because they might just be erratic. It's like putting a monkey in a cage here with you. But I think there's an incentive structure too. Just with this video we saw, there's probably a news outlet waiting, hoping they'll get some weirdo that has some weird kind of scarce thing they're trying to look at, and now they're on TV. So what does this tell someone who's like, well, I'm afraid of elevators, I'm just going to freak out every time I get in an elevator, hoping that the local news puts me on TV, and now I get something to show my friends. Hey, no, I told you I have this real weird thing.
Everybody's always looking for a reason to be special.
Yeah, and with these phobias, it gives you an opportunity, especially if you have a very niche, specific one. You're able to have some notoriety that I call it unearned. It's not earned notoriety, but unfortunately it is notoriety to some of these individuals. So when we coddle them, when we give them the light of day, this just encourages copycats, encourages other people to have these. And I don't know if I believe her phobia. Let's just take it on face. Let's take it on face.
Didn't it feel fake?
It felt just fake. I'm buying myself a car. Okay. All right. Okay, lady.
Yeah. But now, wait, you're telling me you're reacting that way with a dude in 2005, a camera this big. He's got a giant boombox on his shoulder, just like sitting there in your passenger seat. And the knee-jerk reaction is, it's just a little animated and convenient.
I'm not buying it too much.
Yeah.
However, I do think there is. I think the actual phobia is a real one. And those who seek out the attention for it are really, I think those are the issues.
I agree. I do think that was a paid George Soros actor.
When I was standing on Deception Bridge or Deception Pass in Washington.
Oh, that place was crazy.
Yeah, with Doug over there. And
Doug, you were there?
Doug was there.
I was there.
Oh, wow.
Standing on the bridge, it's a 180-foot bridge, and I was like looking out, and I'm like, oh wow, that's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, this is like awesome. And then I kind of like peeked over the edge, and I was like, I need to get off this bridge right now. I am way too high up. I just need to go.
And then the walkway we're on too is like 2 feet wide. So you have cars going like 60 miles per hour right at your back. There's like no barrier or anything. Yeah. That was actually
But
scarier,
I think it would be the best use of tax dollar resources if there was a police officer there to hold Brian and Doug's hand.
Yeah, I know.
It's a scary bridge.
Well, to protect and serve.
Yes, right. Hey, that all being said, there are crazy phobias that have, I don't know, an impact. And they cry for victimization. They cry that they need our attention, and we need to cater to these. So I went to ChatGPT and I was like, what are the most outrageous phobias? Because there's phobias for everything. And again, it gets back to what we were saying earlier. There's all of these traumatic experiences that could present a reason why, you have this fear. But at the same time, I feel like with an exercising mind, like if you continue to exercise your mind and make your mind stronger, these are conquerable hurdles. Like a guy who has your like arm latched and chained, like handcuffed, and you're in his base, like you're not physically you cannot break that. Like you're just like, if you're in an arm lock, you're just like, well, this is what it is. But like in a mental twist, like, my wiener shouldn't be there and I should be wearing a dress. Like, I think they're all one big thing. Somebody with anorexia, we go, yeah, you're 40 pounds and you think you're fat when you look in the mirror. You're not. So society's going to help you and not cater to that delusion. I think we're catering too much to delusions. And I think these are simply mental hurdles. Mental hurdles are achievable and you can conquer them just like physical hurdles, but they're different. And I think we create, socially, we've created an escape where you can just write off, it's difficult, so I don't even have to attempt. And that being said, having discovered some of the most outrageous phobias, I want to play a game. So all of you listening, and make sure you go to the comments wherever you're listening. This goes to the Peanut Gallery too, for the guys in the wing, if you could try to guess. But I'm going to present 15 phobias that are simply outrageous. And I want to see if you can guess what they are. I don't have much faith that you will. I don't expect you to. If you can get somewhere close, I'll be impressed and we'll revere you. But just know there's not much pressure. I don't expect you to. These are outrageous. Okay, starting with the first phobia, paganophobia. It's on the screen there. Paganophobia. Does anybody have a guess what this could be a fear of? Jump in the comments.
Fear of pogo sticks.
Fear of pogo sticks. Pogo sticks is interesting.
It says pogo in the name, so.
Yeah, it says pagano. Paganophobia.
Or pogo if you read it.
Pogo no phobia.
Yep.
Pogo no phobia.
Well, no, it's not a fear of pogos. It's pogo no phobia. Come on, Doug.
Not having a phobia. No.
I cheated.
A phobia of not fearing pogo.
Fear of missing out.
Paganophobia.
No, nobody's got it. All right. Well, Brian, we're gonna have you bring it.
I have no
Looking
idea.
at number
honestly.
one here,
Fear of
paganophobia
birds.
is the fear of bird. Or what was this?
Oh.
Oh, birds. Oh, okay. Wow. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Thought that'd be Averyphonia. Phobia.
Wild, right? Okay, so now going to the second one I have here for you. Arachabutyrophobia. You got to get that one on the screen for the folks. Arachabutyrophobia.
What the?
Arachabutyrophobia. This one's wild. You can try to take a guess.
Kind of reminds me of like a spider, like a
Doesn't
rat.
doesn't Tyro mean like
that seems too obvious to me.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Ricky?
Oh, that's Silent Destroyer.
What's up?
doesn't Tyro mean like a beginner? So I guess fear of being a beginner. That's my guess.
Well, hopefully you're a beginner at this and you're not doing it often, especially with your puppy dog. Number two, arachabutyrophobia is
Erections.
the fear of peanut butter.
What?
No, it's the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth.
Wow.
You ever see your dog just?
I mean, I'm not
think of that.
I
So-
hate that, but I wouldn't say I have a fear of that.
Yeah.
It's
So I would
annoying,
say-
for sure.
I'll say a lot of these phobias, a lot of first world problems.
That's what it seems like. My goodness.
Like, you know,
All right, coming into number 3 here.
All right, what do you got?
Xanthophobia.
Wanna see
Xanthophobia.
it.
Xanthophobia.
Is that the
These
fear
people are crazy, man.
Is this a fear of
Ain't
anxiety?
no fucking way.
All right,
Anxiety
everybody take
for
a guess.
anxiety?
Ricky, you better not be Googling these.
I am. That's why I'm not answering because I
Don't
want to
see
see it. This-
Ricky,
I'm
wait
not
for the
answering.
reveal.
I'm not
Part of the
answering.
fun is breaking it down. Xanthophobia.
It's crazy.
All right.
It sounds like an ingredient.
Yeah, well,
Xanax?
it's just disappointing.
They don't like Xanax, I guess. I don't know.
All right, so xanthophobia is the fear of the color yellow.
Oh.
It's not yellow phobia.
So they can't
Yeah.
drive then because the yellow lights must scare them.
Here's what
Oh
I'm
my
at.
God.
How do you
And like other
cater
yellow-
to a person like this? How do you live in a world with this person?
So I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Is it like something chemical imbalance in your head where like or is it
It's gotta
like-
be. I
like-
think there's a chemical imbalance that leads you to be susceptible to things that are not actually important.
And are they
Or
counting,
Pooh Bear
are they
attacked
counting
them.
fears as someone who's at unease at the color yellow? Nope. This person's just not 100% comfortable because there's yellow things around him.
Here, oh, how about this? How about this? I dated a girl for the longest time who
Oh.
had a fear of bunnies, rabbits. And it was literally, it felt fake. It felt so fake. It felt so fake. I hope you hear me. It felt so fake. Like a rabbit would come in the backyard or a rabbit would come on a cartoon and she'd go, oh my God, I can't do rabbits. I can't do rabbits. I can't do rabbits. And you're just like, this is unlivable. Rabbits are going to be everywhere. I'm going to throw on Space Jam one day and you yelling once is going to upset me, let alone every time you walk in the room. It feels attention grabbing because
Can't
you're looking.
confirm.
Yeah. You can confirm this person is real. You also can confirm this person is all muscle. You can break a rabbit. What are you doing, girl? What are you doing? And all I'm saying is every time she'd be afraid of a rabbit that's just like boop, 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 hops over, looks at you, and we're around a fire and she and then it just hops away. And you're like, so what were you doing here? What were you doing here beyond just creating an excuse for attention? I'm special at this moment because a rabbit came. Now everybody take note and remember, every time a rabbit comes or you see the color yellow, I'm special. I'm special. Xanthophobia.
By the way, just a pointer. The first one was fear of beards and not birds. I just Googled it, and someone in my chat said that too.
Yeah, I
So you
seen
guys
that too. He was fear
Yeah.
of beards
Oh,
and
Chad,
mustache.
he led me astray. See, I'm glad y'all are keeping us
Jesus.
honest.
Yeah.
We didn't,
Keeping
see
us
we didn't
honest.
see a single comment about that.
Yeah.
I guess our audience isn't quite as intelligent as your guys' audience is.
No.
I had
Oh, you know
said
what's
it
funny,
because I
Brian?
cheated.
Yeah.
Just wait until
I said it 'cause I cheated.
Brian,
He did
pull
say
up
it, that's true.
7. 7 on the list. Whoever the list maker was that idiot put it on there twice. Now click image 7.
Oh,
Paganophobia.
You did say it, Teddy. You did. That's true.
Just
Yeah.
I
pull up
see
that
you.
image.
Yep. Share screen. Everyone, this is mine.
No,
This is
you're
my
fine.
fault. So
Yep,
I'm just kind of dealing with it.
Fear of birds.
Oh,
Beards.
Beards.
Not birds.
There we go.
Beer birds. Beards.
Beards.
So somehow it made it on the list. I don't know. Who knows what the fear of birds are? Who cares? Screw them. That's a fear. People fear it. Who knows what the phobia is? Google it. Who's in your chat? Tell them to correct the record. What's the fear of birds? Hit it in the comments. But going to number 4.
I got you.
We're totally out of order.
Sorry,
Number
guys.
4
Just
is
tried to point that out. Go ahead.
nomophobia. What is
Oh.
nomophobia?
Fear of numbers.
Fear
Shout
of
out Fitty Cat.
the fear of characters.
Yeah. Fitty cat.
Nomophobia.
Love you, Fetty Cat. It has to be fear of
This
numbers.
one's gonna
It has
piss
to be.
you off. At least if you're a functioning member of society. If you like, being a member of the social contract, this better upset you. What's it, Ricky?
Phobia of being saying no more. No
All
more.
right, you ready for
phobia?
this? Nomophobia is the fear of being without your mobile phone or being
Maybe.
unable to use it.
That's
sad.
spoiled brat shit. First world problems. This is what I'm saying.
I don't know. No.
Come on.
I'm
It's
gonna
not
defend
fault.
these people
Nah.
here for a
I'm
second.
seeing a
Let me-
trend here.
let
I'm
me
seeing a
carry
trend
water
here
for
as
the
well. I'm
nomophobia
totally
people.
seeing a trend here.
Let me carry water for the nomophobia.
So,
There's a
all right.
trend going
Have you
on
ever
here
been
for
to
sure.
a party and oh shit, you do the 3 pats? One of them's not there. The first you have a visual. It's like, oh shit, where'd it go? Where's it at? And you try to search, and you're searching for it, and there's no phone to be found, and the anxiety's creeping. It's just slowly getting you. Well, what if there's like missed calls?
Wait. Can I push back? The fear of crossing a bridge is not the fear of when the bridge under you collapses. It's the irrational fear that the bridge that isn't going to collapse may collapse, and I'm afraid of this bridge. So in this scenario, this fear is not the experience we feel when we're at Cedar Point, feel my pockets, and I don't feel my phone. That's when you're actually experiencing the thing that's worth being fearful of, or experiencing the rightful anxiety that is tied to that experience, like a bridge going out from under you.
Yeah,
but this is the fear of losing the phone prior to it's kind of like you see me here just gripping my phone. I'm sitting here just like, I can't lose it. If I lose it, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna lose it. Like, that's the phobia. The phobia isn't the anxiety you feel when, like, having a fear of spiders isn't being afraid when the spider's on your arm or bites you. It's, oh, is there a spider? I'm afraid. It's like the anticipation and the experience versus just when you're experiencing anxiety that goes with it.
I think it goes both ways on that. So you have fear of losing your phone, fear of being without it. There's a general anxiety of that being a realistic scenario in which you can experience under circumstances you put yourself through. Again, like a party, or you're on the roller coasters. Like, oh boy, I hope it doesn't fall out of me. I fear for if I don't have it. I think that's a little bit more legitimate than some of these other ones here.
That's fair.
But as Spitty Cat said, a lot of phobias start out as childhood traumas. So maybe the girl woke up and a bunny was in her mouth or something, like
man, I hate when that happens. I hate when that happens. No, that's a fair point. And again, no, here's the truth. I do not doubt, as I initially kind of conceded, that I'm sure these are tied to traumatic experiences. But how much, the question that we're trying to kind of sort out, the uncomfortable truth, is how much does society, your community as a whole, need to cater to that? I mean, yes, we live in a capitalist society and it's tied to a monetary cost, but like those resources are available. A therapist, a psychiatric, all of these types of resources to aid the trauma that isn't the police officer we're all sharing the cost of. Like, I'm sorry. The last thing I want to find out is that the crackhead down the street got away with it because he was wasting his time driving old Miss Daisy across the bridge. That would be upsetting. We can go down this road forever, but I want to get to chorophobia. This, I gotta say, I think you could get it.
Chorophobia?
C-H-O-R-O. Choro.
The phobia of chlorine. Charcoal.
Chloro.
Fear of colors.
Fear of fire? Lighting something on fire or something?
All right, let's get to number 5. Chorophobia. I was saying, think choreograph. It's the fear of dancing. Again, this is another anxiety we all feel. You want to get boogie down and shake your tail feather to attract some ladies, but it can be embarrassing, and nobody wants to be vulnerable like that. But also, anxiety isn't something that, like, one means you just need a pill. Sometimes you just need to learn to live with anxiety. But also, anxiety sometimes can be a good thing. It's what promotes you to act and move. I don't know. This one, I think we all have.
Yeah.
But
I'm happy I don't have this one.
I don't have that at all.
You can do a routine for us.
First world problems.
First world problems.
I hope the camera caught Brian's little.
Oh, he got it.
I think I got it.
All right, let's get to Ablutophobia. Ablutophobia. Oh, this is upsetting. Now, Ricky, I'm putting this one on you, big dog. Your comment keeps saying, throwing it on the first world people. Do you want to share a world with this person? Ablutophobia.
Ablutophobia. Now,
All right,
what does
y'all aren't guessing
ablutophobia
it, I
sound
promise
like?
It's like a fear of whales.
A fear of a lot of food.
All right, let's get to it.
Being bloated, I think.
You know, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Silence said being bullied.
Yeah,
No,
it's
being
going
bloated.
to.
Fear of
Number 6,
starving? Eating too much
ablutophobia
meat.
is the fear of bathing or cleaning oneself.
Oh.
Man, this is
That sounds
nastiness,
like a
bro.
third world problem, my
That's
dog.
being nasty.
Some
Yeah.
medieval shit right there.
Bro, third world country
love a
people
nice, relaxing
try to
shower.
clean themselves as much as possible because
Hey,
you know,
some would
like
say
some places
this is-
don't have a lot of opportunity to do. So when they do get a chance, they try to stay as clean as possible and get as clean as possible.
Some may say this is an excuse to preserve one's dreadlocks. I don't know. I don't know.
Get the bumbarasca. No, you wash your dreads. No.
God
Even
bless.
if I don't
Ricky
hang around with
debunks the
rastas.
BS. There
If
it is.
rastas don't
Watch
wash their
yourself.
dreads, it's disgusting. It stinks. You're walking around with a moldy rug on your head. I know real that doesn't make sense. You can use natural products. The point of rastas is to use natural shit. Don't use chemical. It's not to be unhealthy and nasty. That is crazy.
And my dreads are some water.
That one doesn't. Yeah. Okay.
You squeeze it out like a towel too?
Maybe it is a first world problem that we're sitting here and they don't want to bathe. They can, but I have a
Too
fear
much
of it.
water.
It's fair. All right. Number 8, turophobia. Turophobia. Number 8.
Fear of fake grass.
Being afraid of using the Turo rental car app.
Fear of like
It's
like
so
bulls.
creative.
It's like a fear of like bulls or like cows. Or like cattle.
All right, we got to
Is
get
this
to
the
it.
fear of the rental car app?
Yeah, the rental car app. That's what I say.
Fear
Yeah,
of my
rental car app.
snow.
Toro. Yeah.
Shout out Toro.
Shout out Turo. Number 8, turophobia is actually the ratatouille, the fear of cheese.
Oh my god.
Happy I don't have this.
Bro,
fear
just
either.
say you're
I love
lactose
cheese.
intolerant and get it over it.
Really, it's just a fear of French people in disguise.
Wait, the French don't like cheese?
Number 9 is linen phobia. Linanophobia. Linanophobia.
Fear of linen. I'm gonna just go
Linens,
with it.
yeah. There you go, Doug.
Yeah.
Probably the fear of being covered.
Oh, the fear of straight lines.
Oh, I can see that
Okay.
fear of like being wrapped up or something, like kind of like
Yeah, fear of
So
being
number 9 is actually the fear of string. Linophobia.
Oh.
I think Doug and I were
We were
very
close.
I think so. I was heavily impressed.
Yeah, I
Heavily
think that's,
impressed.
I think we were on the right path.
This one, I don't think so. And I don't even know how this makes any sense or how you can fear it or how you live in a world with this fear. But it is a first world problem, Ricky. So ding, 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 ding. Vestophobia. Number 10, Vestophobia. Vestophobia.
Probably like a fear of being happy.
Fear of being
Stevie.
Fear of wearing a vest, maybe? Don't
Yeah,
wear a
fear of
vest.
vests.
fear of looking.
Well,
Like
I'm gonna guess
sweater
fear of
vests. I'm with Silent Destroyers.
Oh,
fear of
of
sweater
mirrors,
vests.
That's probably
Yeah.
something pretty close.
What did Silent Destroyer say?
What'd
Like
you say,
wearing a vest, like putting on a vest and wearing
Mhm.
it. That's what I would say. Vest.
All right.
Agree.
I think we got
Agreed.
somebody that's on the right track.
I agreed
Number
with you.
10, Vestophobia is the fear of clothing.
Okay, I was close.
I thought
Okay,
that
all right.
was,
I was
that's
close.
too, like,
finally.
too obvious that that
Too
is
obvious.
like truly a fear
Half a
of
point.
vest.
Half a point.
That is
They're just making this shit up
crazy.
now.
How do you live in a society? You just
Nudist.
They live on-
There's nudists.
They live on Naked or Afraid, bro. You know,
you just Buffalo Bill your way through the grocery store, just
happy day every day.
Bend over and pick up this bottom.
tuck it and wave.
Yeah.
Tuck it and wave, boys. Tuck it and wave.
It's never
Clean up
young
in
hot
aisle
singles
me.
in your area that have this fear. It's always probably some old dude.
The young hot singles in your area do not possess this fear. It's
No. I wish they did, but they don't.
It's really just an old guy on meth who's like,
It's
it's hot. It's hot. It's
It's hot.
I can't put it out. It's
Who's the most unattractive?
and then he was
people
eating a
one?
homeless guy's face. This shit's crazy. That was back in the bath salt days. Y'all lived it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you live in a cold place, trust
Or
me, you're
memory
not gonna
lock
have a
right
fear
there.
of clothes. You're gonna want to put
Yeah,
clothes
facts.
on, you know.
Facts.
Yeah, that'd be unfortunate.
This one's, I don't know. I don't know where you draw the line on this one, but papyrophobia. Papyrophobia.
Fear of papaya.
Yeah,
Papaya, the fruit.
I was gonna say that too, but
Like fear of like spicy.
fear of seeds.
Paper, maybe fear of paper.
Oh my gosh. Silent Destroyer has mastered English.
Let's go.
I'm impressed.
Finally.
Papyrophobia is the fear of
All
paper.
right, we need to see hands up on the next one. Just see both hands here.
Yo, this man has a chat that is carrying him.
You better be paying that chat.
But his
That
chat
was
is
not from chat. I promise you, that was completely from my brain. I promise
Oh,
you.
shit.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
All right.
All right. Testing the gang. Electorophobia. Electorophobia.
Fear of electricity.
Electorophobia.
Yeah.
Electronics?
Fear of
Fear
allocation.
of
Fear of things being taken.
I'm gonna go with fear of mirrors. We're gonna pull one out
You're
of Doug's book.
insisting someone's afraid of mirrors.
There's got to be somebody.
This one's just a tad bit kookier. It's the fear of chickens.
Whoa.
Electorophobia.
You see a gnarly rooster. I don't know if I want to be
some
around
roosters do get feisty.
They do.
Really, these are just the cows on Chick-fil-A ads. That's about the only people we know that have electorophobia. Eat more chicken. Okay, going to number 13. Genophobia. Genophobia? Genophobia?
Genophobia? Fear of guinea pigs.
Genophobia. Guinea pigs?
Fear
Anybody?
of being genuine?
Or like fear of pigs.
Genuine?
I'll take guinea pigs and/or pigs.
Fear of being genuine?
I'll widen my
Sounds like
circle.
generation. I'm saying.
But yeah, fear of new generations, younger
We're in a
people.
whole totally different world. Number 13, genophobia, is the fear of knees or kneeling.
Oh boy.
So what?
Hey,
They got
we need a police officer.
knees or knee.
This
So they got no
situation.
kneecaps.
We got folks afraid of knees. They can't go on a hike anywhere in Colorado. There's a hippie everywhere putting them in a seizure. No cap.
I see some ugly kneecaps, but like,
No cap.
what are you doing still looking at someone's knees?
Must have real
That's a
anxiety
good one.
right before the
That's a good
national
one.
anthem.
No cap.
Like, I'm sitting here thinking about like what could traumatize you for some of these to make you not, you know,
Right.
like where does the knee come from?
Did someone like just jump up and just knee you in the face or something?
Yeah,
when you were
like
12 in middle school.
you saw
I don't know.
know someone with no
Aren't you just
kneecaps.
afraid of like strangers kneeing you in the face? Like it's not the knees.
Or it's someone who wants you to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
You know who made this up? Ben Askren. Ben Askren made this up from UFC when he got knocked out by Mazadov. Yep.
But even then, like if you're sitting in a room and like you got kneed in the, you're Ben Askren, you got kneed in the face, you got fear of knees. But you're sitting in a room, we're all hanging out. Like Brian's having a birthday party and his uncle has shorts on because it's literally
Everybody
80
has shorts
in the
on.
summer.
It's a hot summer day.
If you have some girl at the party that's just like, oh my God, oh my knees. It's like, honey, everybody's got their knees out. It's 80 degrees. What do you do? Like, how does that person even exist? I don't know.
Probably somewhere it's really cold.
Let's wrap these things up. We got 2 left. Consecutalphobia. Consecutalphobia.
The fear of consent.
The fear of stuff repeating consecutively.
I ultimately got Epstein.
Fear of
The fear of repetition.
consecutive.
Fear of things in order.
Yeah.
Like organized things.
Like consecutive, like
like something that's
things
stacked
like
up like in a nice
repeating.
order. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, this is one you should really be worried about because they're breaching the American way. It's the fear of chopsticks.
Oh no.
Oh no, it's a chopstick.
I don't know how to use them.
Fear of
So I do have a fear of chopsticks too, because I can't use them. I try my best. It'd be a struggle.
I'm not very good at them.
Ricky's the guy at the Japanese restaurant that like pulls the waitress over. He's like, "Do you have the one with the rubber band and the paper in between?"
Can I just have a
I
fork?
did ask for that when I went to the Japanese barbecue. And they said no.
right,
So you know what I didn't? I didn't break it. I just kept it. I just kept it whole.
Because he doesn't have elite pinching fingers like me.
You know,
Gotta see what these
it was
fingers
a
can
struggle.
do. All right, going to number 15. I'm gonna give it my best. Hippopotamata monstrasa seco wepipedum phallalophobia. Hippopota monstrasa quipedidalia-phobia.
Fear of being alive, because why you gotta be alive if you're afraid of something that long?
Fear of hippos?
What could it possibly be?
Fear of long
Fear
words.
of living.
No, there's no way. It's a long word in itself. How could that
And it's
be?
probably the stupidest thing.
Let's play what it is.
You know what?
What?
It's probably a group of animals. Bunch up. The fear of seeing the animals together, like they're a gang or something.
Hippopotamata equipedala-phobia is the fear of long words. Do we not have it saved? Oh, shucks.
Oh,
Out of 2 graphics, we have none of them.
Boo.
And this is a long word, so we should have knew that. Because it's a long word for no
I just
damn
think
reason.
it's ironic and cruel that that's how they did it. They were
That's very cruel. Yeah.
Somebody was like, all right, now we need to create a linguistic word for the fear of long words. And they're like, grab every prefix and every suffix we got in the book and throw that bitch in front of phobia.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Like, that's
they
the
would
long
hate that
word I
song.
think of.
You know they're being assholes because they even somehow squeezed in hippopotamus. When you got hippopotamus in something that has to do with long words, you're really just trying to get at people's goat.
It's like they're trolling. It's like they're trolling at that point. They had to have been, you know?
Exactly,
like no
exactly.
No
They
way
know what
else.
they were doing. They're like, make it longer. No.
Longer.
I said long. Longer. So again, I guess we got to take it to wrapping thoughts. The fear of bridges. We're not allowed to say that there's some mad conspiracy going on, because that would get us pulled. Everything is how it's displayed. Take it how you see it, because that's how it is. But some nefarious things could be going on. I'm not saying that. But maybe you should be a free thinker and investigate things on your own and take it on. I'm not going to tell you what you need to think, but you should be confident in what you think because you did your due diligence. So, in a world where maybe some nefarious things could be floating around a bridge, I could see having a fear of, or not even a fear. I'm not justifying your quirky weirdness, but having doubt in the system that plays itself out as your safety net. Yeah, have some anxieties, have some doubts. That seems fair. On the flip side, pandering to the fear of the color yellow, or a clown who claims to have the fear of cleaning themselves. No, just say you're a pig. Just say you like rolling in your filth. Or you're afraid of a bridge. You're afraid of a bridge. Just admit that you're weak. In a world where you say you're afraid of the color yellow, or you're afraid of rabbits, just say you're looking for one signal that you can trigger your claim for being special. That's what those fears are. Yellow, the fear of clothes. Just admit that that's your way of I'm special. I saw yellow. I'm special. I saw a rabbit. I'm special. That's fine. But that's what it is. And really, we don't need to use the police force and our societal resources to cater to that and to pander to you. So my wrapping thought is exactly that. I respect people And I can say these harsh realities because fortunately, as Ricky said, first world problems, that's what these are. I can sit in a world knowing that the resources you need exist and are offered by our society. And also, it doesn't need to come at my cost. This is your personal battle. At the same time, I have my personal battles, and I'm not calling to you to take care of them. I work hard to be self-sufficient. That's what we should want. We should want equality, a system with so much equality that we can leave people to either their own successes or their own demises. And if this is a hurdle that you need in your life and won't be able to conquer, then this is yours to wrestle. It isn't mine to wrestle with you. But I wish you the best. I don't know. What are your wrapping thoughts?
No, I think I'm fairly on the same page as you here. Almost a circle jerk if we.
Here we are, Dougie.
But I think there is legitimate fears. There's absolutely things that people can relate to within those.
Did you know Doug invented that, by the way? Oh, that three-way trade.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually fearful of Doug ruining Pokemon cards for me again. Call that Pokemanophobia.
Pokemanophobia.
I have an Alex phobia. It's a fear of Alex.
There and
damn.
I mean, if we're talking weird phobias, I mean, gosh, I know it's just so weird, but I've fought it, I overcome it. I hang out with an Alex every day.
Look at that.
Look at that. And see, this is what the Rethink Tank's all about.
Pokemon of Dougophobia.
Conquering,
and look at here, I am
conquering
too.
our fears of Alex Gurgett.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
But I think if we do too much to cater to some of these fears, I think we're causing copycats to seek attention. I think we want to avoid the attention seekers. At least if someone does have a legitimate fear of yellow, I hope they get help. What I don't hope for is now there's someone with a legitimate fear of blue, so they get attention. Reduce the attention. I think this is why bullying should probably be a thing we should do now. Someone's a fear of yellow. I think they need to be bullied out of the fear of yellow.
Yeah, right? Come on. That worked.
We'll give you something
lost
to be
the fact that works.
We'll give you something to be scared about. Bullying. That's a legitimate fear. Yeah.
Would you rather yellow be what the student next to you is wearing as their shirt or a swirly?
Bullying is not a problem. It's a solution to a problem.
And I don't think bullying's a first world problem. I think that's an all the world problem.
Well,
it's becoming less and less of a
I think
first
it's
world.
an all the world resolution.
Oh,
not even a problem. It's the solve.
It's the opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah, bullying is an opportunity.
So back to your point, bringing back bullying.
Yeah, I bring it back. Yeah, we need to do a little bit more of that. Get some of these kind of these weirdos. All right, hey, it's no longer socially acceptable to have, or you're no longer encouraged to have these types of fears. So we can really weed out who's actually fearful of yellow and who's just looking for attention.
I can appreciate that. Brian, wrapping thoughts so we can bring this wild episode to a close.
I think therapy is a good thing. I don't go, but I also don't have a ton of crippling fears. So
therapy's a good thing. Just don't get therapy from a cop.
Yeah.
See?
There you go. Heard from the source.
All right, guys. First, before we close out the episode, I want to bring in our peanut gallery because I appreciate them giving us their time and giving us our thoughts. First, let's go to Ricky. Ricky at Just Another Day TV. Where can they find you? Tell them what to do.
Just Another Day TV, everybody, anywhere, everywhere. And yeah, appreciate y'all. Great shows. Y'all with the first world problems, you need help. Get some help, as Michael Jordan would say.
I can appreciate that. Let's bring in Silent Destroyer. And also, Silent Destroyer, we need to get you in on an episode early enough so we can have Brian create one of those nice scrolling graphics for you. So,
yes.
Tell people where to find you, my friend.
Yes, I'm live every single day. Kick.com/Silent Destroyer. You'll see me there. I'm live every single day. Thank you guys so much for having me. This was great. And to piggyback off of what Ricky said, if you need help, guys, get help. It is okay.
Yes.
You can get help. Just like you go to the dentist, just like you go to the doctor, you can also go to a therapist or a psychiatrist and get help. There's nothing wrong with cleaning your brain and getting your mind right. It is okay. Completely fine. No shame in it at all.
You're learning real quick why I at the Rethink Tank needed to bring in people with bigger hearts than me, because there's things that need to be said that I just don't even think like that needs to be said. But also, I'm too bad. I'm too already consumed by being like the mean dad. Like, too bad. But slap him around. Someone needs to say the truth. Like, have some heart. There are resources available, and this is not to negate those. This is to say that they exist, and that's why there really is no excuse in a world where you feel helpless. You're not helpless. You're not alone. You have people around you that care. People do care. And I say this all the time. In this world, you're going to learn how people succeed and grow. The truth is, people want to help people. We all want to help each other. So give people an excuse to want to help you. That's in a professional manner, a financial manner, and just in a personal manner. Whether you're struggling with something or you're trying to accomplish something, people want to help people. Give them an excuse to want to help you. The truth is, you're really only alone because you're isolating yourself, and people care about you however they manifest in your life. So cheers to Silent Destroyer for grounding us and reminding us what is important, as I tend to be too crude and crass. That being said, I appreciate you guys joining us live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. We go live across the platforms, so be sure to join us wherever you're joining us now. We're going to be back next week with just as much fun and just enough craziness. The whole purpose of the show is to make you laugh and to make you think. If we accomplish that, that means somebody in your life will also achieve that same end. So please, the best thing you could do to support this show that we brought you great content for free to your home, the best thing you do to support it is share that link. If you liked it, that means someone else like you will too. And we're fighting algorithms. This message of uniting and promoting growth, yeah, that's being stifled because we want to keep you eating McDonald's fries and keeping you dumb. So just keep watching people make slime. That's a lot more fun. Or little kids opening toys. That's what we're up against. And the only way we defeat it is if you share that episode. But all of our content, Brian and I do a live show on Sundays at 9 a.m. Share a cup of coffee with us, rethink actions. This past week, we were looking at crazy tragedies. I mean, insane. World natural disasters. The week before, we're looking at people breaking into Disney. You never know what to expect except for fun, entertainment. Share a cup of coffee with us and kick off your weekend. But all of our content can be found at our website at www.rethinktankpodcast.com. Whether it's So Here's Where I'm At or any other piece, we got some fun things coming your way, so don't miss it. But we'll catch you next week live every Tuesday. Peace.